തോന്നു കേട്ടോ. ഓടിയ ഹലോ ഹലോ ഹലോ. ആ ലിങ്ക് എനിക്ക് കിട്ടുന്നേട്ടാ. ബ്ലാങ്ക് ഇത് ഇതന്നെ ഫിക്സ് കിടക്കണം. മാറ്റിയാൽ
Namaste. Our guests have arrived. May I request our esteemed guests to kindly come up on the stage. May I request our esteemed guests to kindly come up on the stage and offer floral tributes at the feet of Dr. K.M. Munshi. Offering tributes is our Chairman, C.A. Venugopal C. Govind, our Chief Guest, Dr. SANDEEP SHASTRI, Director Academics at NITTE Education Trust, Bangalore, along with our Director, Sri E. Ramankutty, and Honorary Secretary, C.A. K. Shankar Narayanan. Namaste and a warm welcome to the 6th edition of KULAPATI Dr. K.M. Munshi Memorial Oration. Kanailal Maneklal Munshi, born in 1887, was a true visionary and a towering personality who became a legend in his lifetime. The establishment of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan in 1938 is a lone star of his comprehensive and composite foresight. Bhavan schools work with a vision to reintegrate Indian culture in the light of modern knowledge to suit our present need. It is only apt that this year's oration delves into the topic, Education for 21st Century Needs, with focus on teaching to learning paradigm. As Alvin Toffler had once stated, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. As educators, how do we adapt the elements of learning to our students and let them discover what their ikigai is? All this and a lot more coming up in today's discourse. Let us start today's session with the blessings of the Divine. I call upon Srimati Ampli B, Teacher, Bhavan's Vidya Mandir A Road, to render the prayer. Kindly remain seated.
Sukhino bhavantu.
It is my honor to call upon Sri E. Ramankutty, Director, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Kochi Kendra, for the welcome address.
Namaste and present good evening to all of you. My revered pronouns the feet of our missionary founder, MUNSHI. Distinguished guest of the day, Dr. SANDEEP SHASTRI, Director Academics, MITT Education Trust, Bangalore, CA Venugopal Govind, Chairman, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Kochi Kendra, Vice Chairman, CA G. Gopinathan, and Professor Dr. Amba Vijayakumar, Honorary Secretary, C.A.K. Sankarnarayan, Honorary Treasurer, C.A.K.T. Mohanan, Srimati Meena Vishwanathan, Chief Coordinator, Programs, esteemed dignitaries, organizers, invited guests, members of the Bhavan's family, dear friends, and well-wishers. Namaste, and a very good evening to all of you. In 1938, a decade before the India's independence, KULAPATI Dr. K.M. MUNSHI, a visionary and a practical idealist, founded the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. From its humble beginnings, the Bhavan has grown into a vibrant national movement for the promotion of Sanskrit, ethical and spiritual values, education, and Indian culture. As you all know, 30th December is the birthday of our founder, KULAPATI Dr. K.M. MUNSHI. To honor this philosopher in action, man of great ideas and courage, and champion of Indian culture, we hold the Dr. K.M. MUNSHI Memorial every year in December. This annual event pays tribute to his unparalleled contributions, profound legacy, and his efforts to revive Indian tradition and culture. Over the years, this platform has been graced by the wisdom and eloquence of eminent speakers such as Professor M.K. Swami, Chief Justice late Dr. T.P. Radhakrishnan, Dr. K.S. Radhakrishnan, Dr. B.P. Gangadharan, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, and many others whose inspiring words have left a lasting impression on us. Today, we are privileged to welcome Dr. SANDEEP SHASTRI, Director Academics, MITT Education Trust, Bangalore, as our distinguished chief guest. With an illustrious career that includes serving as the Vice Chancellor of Jagran Lake City University, Bhopal, Pro-Vice Chancellor of Jain, and as a faculty member in Political Science at Bangalore University. Dr. Shastri's expertise and accomplishments making an exceptional choice for this event. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm and heartfelt welcome to Dr. SANDEEP SHASTRI, whose presence indicates his event. We are equally honored to have with us our respected chairman, C.A. Venugopal Govind, whose wisdom and leadership have been an inspiration to all of us. A warm welcome to you, sir. I also extend a special welcome to our Vice Chairman, Sri Gopinathan, Professor Dr. Amba Vijayakumar, Honorary Secretary, C.A. Sankarnarayan, Honorary Treasurer, K.T. Mohanan, and Srimati Meena Vishwanathan, Chief Coordinator Programs, along with the esteemed members of the Kendra Committee and members of the Bhavan's family and friends. To our invited guests, members of the SMC, PTA, and well-wishers, your presence enhances the significance of this occasion. A warm welcome to each one of you. Once again, I express my great gratitude and extend a warm welcome to every one of you gathered here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, it is my privilege to welcome C.A. Venugopal Govind, Chairman, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Kochi Kendra, for the presidential address. Sir, please.
Namaste. Hari Om Shri Guru Namaha. I offer my humble pranams along with all of you at the lotus feet of our very revered founder, Kanaklal Munshi Ji. As our director said, 1938 we were founded as an institution, and today we are celebrating how many years now? 86 years of existence. Our founder was born on 30th of December 1887. So today also happens to be the 127th birth anniversary of our founder. All of us together offer a very humble homage to him. Honored Chief Guest of the day, Dr. SANDEEP SHASTRI, our Director Sri Ramamurthy, Shankara, all my esteemed colleagues in the United Committee, Madam Shastri, their daughter, their son-in-law, equally brilliant, erudite, scholarly as the Chief Guest niece, and Auditor Sri Radhakrishnan, all the respected principals, vice principals, teachers. Why do we celebrate the Founders' Day? What is the relevance of our paying homage to a personality like MUNSHI Ji? What has been his contribution to the historic, intellectual, spiritual, cultural arena of our Mother India? At this time, as we do every year, we try to recapitulate what our founder has done for the whole nation, for all of us, and also in particular what he wanted the entire Bhavanites in the institution of Bharati Bhavan would like to pursue, to act and to contribute. While we pay homage to him, we try to look at the areas which are very, very dear to his heart. No doubt, the entire life of MUNSHI Ji is completely dedicated to the cause of emancipation, of rejuvenation, of rebuilding, of restructuring of the cultural heritage of ancient India. Over 5,000 years of heritage. Unparalleled, unequivocal, cannot be explained at all. No match anywhere in the world. We also try to look at why and what made him found Bharati Vidya Bhavan, an institution which today is of a global stature. We understand that art, literature, culture, spirituality, India's heritage were all very, very close to his heart. One aspect which runs through all this is the education. Education for refinement of the human mind. Undoubtedly, that continues to be the need of the hour. We are not too sure, though we were the most enlightened, most educated nation in the whole world 300 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. Where do we stand now? When we look at the education system that prevails in this country, introduced by the powers that be, no point in mulling over that or crying over that. We are far, far, far behind acceptable international standards. What worries us, pains us, hurts is that every step, one step we try to make forward, we go 2 steps, 3 steps backwards in terms of achievement of the laudable objective of what education is. The object of education is to instill and inject values into the human mind, refine the human mind, fill the human mind with knowledge, which should ultimately take to wisdom. wisdom for realization of everything around us, the nature we live in, the surroundings, our circumstances, the air that we breathe in, the mountains, the valleys, the trees and the plantains, the birds and everything, and learn to look at them with sympathy, empathy, love, affection, warmth, compassion and whatnot. Human beings are born to protect the world and not to distract. But we, generations now, what we have been doing has been just the opposite. Therefore, there is a need for new education. The world cannot go on like this. A full stop has to be made at all the levels. At global level, there is awareness. Many institutions and agencies are working on that. In India too, we are working very hard through the National Education Policy 2020, the National Educational Framework 2023 and all that. As we do that, we need to look ahead, look forward, take stock of what has been the problems, deficiencies, the bottleneck, the weaknesses that we find in the system and how we address them. That's not the responsibility of the government or of the society or of the individuals or even of the institutions. Perhaps the most important contribution has to be done undoubtedly by the educational institutions where the youngsters are taught and trained and groomed and developed, and individually by every teacher. Every teacher who has been so fortunate to be a teacher is a teacher is a teacher, undoubtedly. So it's the responsibility of the individual teachers to continuously transform the young little minds in depth, in width, in breadth and whatnot, and ensure that all good thoughts, good qualities, good traits and good attributes are instilled in the young minds so they will grow. They will grow. They will blossom to be responsible, highly responsible, contributing to the needs of the society. That's what we are trying to do in Bhavan, in our own little way. And all of you have been participants in that. We value your services. We value your individual contributions. We have no doubt that the teachers in Bhavans are a class apart. We have no complaints whatever. But nevertheless, it is necessary for you to know what are the futuristic needs of education, how it has to be shaped in the 21st century, how we have got to train and retrain ourselves, how we need to learn and unlearn from the basics, undoubtedly. And you are going through many training programs, many transformative research-oriented sessions you are being put through. But nevertheless, it's a golden opportunity for you to listen to someone like Dr. SANDEEP Shastri, an educator par excellence. He is the Director Academics for NITE Trust, Educational Trust. As I was told, it was started in a village called NITE in Karnataka by the renowned, very noble Justice K.S. Hegde, the late Justice K.S. Hegde, to ensure that the young ones in his own village receive the right kind of education and no one is left out. Inclusive education for everyone in the little village of NITE. From that, the little seed planted by Dr. K.S. Hegde grew and grew and grew into a mighty banana tree, tending its branches and shades all over with close to 36 institutions. 36 institutions which offer 160 courses, subjects, programs and all that, you see. So this is what it is all about. Close to 50,000 students come out of this university, altogether in 3 locations, Bangalore, Mangalore and NITE. And Dr. Shastri is in charge of academics, so you know how valuable his services are. Getting back to our founder, no words to talk about him. We have to know what he is, what he has been, you see. If you can think of the topmost 4 or 5 most outstanding personalities who contributed not just to the freedom of India, but to the development of the heart and soul of India, Kulapati Munshi will stand very high amongst them. He has been a man of many parts. He was attracted to the ideals, the objectives, noble objectives, and trained under Aurobindo Ghosh. Aurobindo Ghosh, for whom, as we say, the sense of Aurobindo Ghosh has been the motherhood of spirit. That is what he has been, you see. So, drawing inspiration from him, Kulapati K.M. Munshi had always in his mind to set up an education institution of excellence. Not everyone can do. If you look at all the greatest of the men who lived along with him, his peers, you will find that each of them had many qualities of eminence, indescribable qualities of eminence, you see. But you will find that Kulapati Munshi is an absorption, has the essence, the content of the best of all of them, undoubtedly. If you look at Mahatma Gandhi, the superior will, the commitment, not just to achieve freedom alone, but for Mother India, nationalism and patriotism, you find strong glimpses of that in Munshi. You look at the bravery, unmatched bravery, intense audacity, never say die attitude of Subhash Chandra Bose. You find that quality also in him. There has been time when K.M. Munshi even differed strongly with Mahatma Gandhi and then said, if you simply follow the path of non-violence, Bapuji, as you do, India will never be free. I am going out. He went out and later he came back. That was Munshi Ji. If you look at Jawaharlal Nehru, his erudite scholarly wisdom, the profundity of his depth of his knowledge or wisdom, the sapience of all that Jawaharlal Nehru stands for, his literary prowess, all that you find in good measure in Munshi Ji also. If you look at Rajagopalachari, another tall figure, the perspicacity of Rajagopalachari, the shrewdness, the competence, the sharp intellect, the ability to take quick decisions and all, you find that too in Munshi Ji. You look at Babu Rajendra Prasad, the first president of India, the sagacity of Rajendra Prasad, you see, the ability, the foresightedness, the far insights that he had to have, the intuition that Rajendra Prasad had, with which he held the presidency of India and guided even Jawaharlal for 10 years. You find a good part of that in Munshi Ji also. You look at the literary prowess, the humanism of Rabindranath Tagore. See Geetanjali, you will find that all the goodness, all things that about many short stories, novels, dramas, poems, what not, have come from the pen of, gifted pen of Rabindranath Tagore. Equal measure you find that. You look at Baba Ambedkar, the juristic eminence, administrative efficiency, the ability, power of discrimination that you find in him, never wanting to bow down before anyone, conviction, courage of conviction, conscience, all of Baba Ambedkar, you will find in immense measure in Munshi Ji also. You also find the honesty, the integrity, the love for the nation, intense love for India of Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, the first education minister of India. You find that in Munshi Ji. So this and all that you find in abundance in Munshi Ji. Why did he not then become Prime Minister of India? He ought to have become Prime Minister of India. I have no doubt about that. There are a lot of commonalities between Pandit Nehru and Munshi Ji. They were almost equal in stature. Jawaharlal Nehru wrote what? The glimpses of world history. From a political point, from a geographic point, an economic point, tracing the history of ancient India to the modern times. Most of you, at least English teachers, would have read that. It's a volume by itself about all that India stood for then. Almost at the same time, Munshi Ji also wrote. Munshi Ji wrote the history of the culture and civilization of the people of India in 11 volumes, which also traces the history of the people of India, not from a geographic or political point, but from a cultural point, from humanistic point, from a point of religious, spiritual aspects, and what India has been now to the world, the Vishwaguru. So a lot of that comparative narratives, you see, which they have been accepting, their perceptions and all were common. One would have wished undoubtedly that Mahatma Gandhi wanted most of the 17, Congress Working Committee members who were to elect the future Prime Minister of India. 16 of them voted for Sardar Patel. There was only one vote for Jawaharlal. But Mahatma Gandhi told Sardar Patel, you are not the right person to lead India this time. We have to take India to global heights and place India in the world map. Here is one who is accepted by the world over. And Jawaharlal was chosen the Prime Minister of India. Rightly so, because Sardar Patel lived only for 3 years after that. I slipped to mention about Sardar Patel also, a man who had all the tenacity, unwilling to give in or give up at any circumstances, full confidence in himself to achieve anything. That kind of a tenacity also you find only in Sardar Patel, which you found in Munshiji also, when he decided that he will rebuild the completely destroyed Somanath temple, overruling what Jawaharlal said. In free India, you cannot build a temple. In a secular India, you cannot build a temple for Hindus. Reconstruct or whatever you may call for. Munshiji overruled Jawaharlal Nehru, went ahead and got it constructed and inaugurated by the then President Rajendra Prasad. So that's what you see Munshi has been. We are so fortunate that we have in him. We never feel that we have lost him out. He lives with us in every respect. He lives in our hearts. We would like all of you teachers to carry his message, his teachings, his philosophies, his thought process and all, and pass on to the new generation what little you can to transform the young minds. Towards that, you need to be told today by a visionary who has seen many, in the last over 4 decades, all aspects of education, youth, the young, politics, everything has been touched upon by our chief guest today. So he will tell you what are the needs of the future needs of the 21st century in education. And he will also do that by focusing on teaching to learning paradigm. That's what we are trying to achieve. Not the teaching is not important. The outcome in the hands of every student is important. So teaching to learning paradigm is of supreme importance. I'm sure the lecture by our chief guest will be very enlightening and a learning experience for all of us. Thank you all. Namaste once again. God bless. Have a good evening and a time of good experiential learning too. Thank you.
Dr. K.M. Munshi, a visionary par excellence indeed. Thank you, sir, for your words. We now move on to the 6th Kulapati Dr. K.M. Munshi Memorial Oration, Education for 21st Century Needs, with focus on teaching to learning paradigm. I'm privileged to invite Dr. SANDEEP Shastri to take the stage. Sir, please. I request our other dignitaries to occupy the seats in front of the stage. Thank you.
Shri Venugopal Govind ji, Shri Raman Kutty ji, Shri Shankar Narayanan ji, other distinguished office bearers of the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Kochi Kendra, and distinguished invitees to this 6th Dr. Kulapati K.M. Munshi Memorial Oration. At the outset, let me confess that I neither have the melody of Ambili, nor do I have the erudition of Venugopalji. And I find myself in a dilemma. Neither can I hold you with the non-melody of my voice, nor the lack of erudition that we saw in the chairman's address. But like Kulapati ji always told us, continue to do what you are required to do, and hopefully people will respond to what you have done. So let me thank the Bhavan and its office bearers for having invited me to be here to deliver this oration. It's truly an honor to have your name in any way associated with Kulapati ji. I prefer to only use the term Kulapati for him because I think that name sits very well on his achievement, on his life, and his many, many accomplishments. As I said, it's a great honor to be associated with that name, and it's also a special honor for me to be here amidst teachers, because that is a group of people I have spent all my life with. And I understand the wonderful work you do. I relate to the multiple challenges you face, and I also celebrate with you the joys of every generation of students passing out of our hands. So it's a delight to have all of you here and to be able to dialogue with you. I would underline the word dialogue because I will frequently break into a conversation with you all as I take this oration forward, because I think a true sense of learning for everybody is through a dialogue. I remember at this stage, as I start this dialogue, firstly, the fact that over the last 42 years in this profession, more than 30,000 students have allowed me to learn with them in their classrooms. I don't think I have taught anybody. I don't have that impression that anybody learnt because of me. But I definitely have that belief that because of these boys and girls who were in my classroom across 42 years, I learnt a lot. And I would like to share some of those learnings from my students, which I was privileged to have with you all. Secondly, I must also mention that I come from a family which is privileged to have been part of teaching learning. My wife is also a professor like me, and over the last 35 years of our being together, I hope my years were correct. In the last 35 years of our being together, we both have had several conversations about education. And some of what I would say today is reflection of that conversation. And finally, I think both of us have a sense of accomplishment because either because of us or in spite of us, our only child also decided to take to the field of education and is today an assistant professor at Flame University in Pune. He studied abroad in the best institutions but then told me and my wife that I want to come back to India and work in India. And so he has come back and taken up a teaching job here. And last year, my wife and I were blessed that we included a third member to our family, which was my daughter-in-law, who is also in the field of education and is currently pursuing her PhD in psychology. And my conversations with both my son and daughter-in-law have been part of the learning that I will share with you today. So friends, in consultation with the Bhavan office bearers here, I chose the theme, Education for the 21st Century, which we are all involved with. And in that I specifically chose moving from the teaching to the learning paradigm. And if you will see on top, there are 4 dimensions which I emphasize here. First, how do we sustain learning in this 21st century? In our 40-minute classrooms, how do we make sure that the interest in the first minute continues in that 39th minute also? How do I make sure that even if I'm taking the final period of the day, because somebody has to take the final period of the day, how do I sustain that enthusiasm of my classroom? I also want to look at the millennial learners who we are all dealing with in our classrooms. Those born in the 21st century. Those who did not have to be taught about computers, mobiles, and of tablets. Sometimes I worry when I see children refusing to eat without watching something constantly. Is that the new reality? I don't know. What if my student tells me when I teach in the class, and this college students very frequently do, they click your slide and say, I don't need to take down everything because everything is there now with me here now. How do we deal with this digitally savvy generation? Have our philosophies of education undergone a change? Have our perceptions of the philosophies of education undergone a change? And finally, how do we make sure all stakeholders in education are essentially on the same page? This is the question that I'd like to raise. Could I take this slide forward? It's not. Okay. I would also like to dedicate this entire oration to the memory of the person in whose name this oration is being held, in the name of Kulapati ji, for 3 reasons. His life and living. Kulapati ji's life for me was like an important march of history. And to quote what he said, which I think is something important for anybody in education, he said, and I quote, "It is my faith in our past which has given me the strength to work in the present and look forward to our future." How beautifully he linked the past, present, and future. We all underwent our learnings, our B.Ed courses, our B.A. B.Sc courses, our master's programs in the past. We relate that to our students in the classroom in the present, but we are doing all that for the future. And Kulapati ji put it so beautifully, this linkage between the past, present, and future, which reflected his life and living. If you look at the time that he was Food and Agriculture Minister of India, what someone talks about today so much, he practiced in his time. He started what was called the Van Mahotsav. Those days, I'm talking about the late 1940s and early 1950s, he talked about the need for a forest cover for sustainability. And today we say that that's a very, very pressing need of the day. When you look at Munshi ji's thoughts and thinking, I am reminded of those 2 words which he used to describe the preamble of our Constitution. everybody talks about the Constitution today. Kulapati ji defined the Constitution's preamble in 2 words. He said it was the political horoscope of India. Kulapati ji called the preamble the political horoscope of India, because it tells you what India is: a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. It tells you the goals of the state: liberty, equality, fraternity, and justice. And it tells you who made this constitution: the people of India. And Kulapati ji put it in 2 brilliant words: a political horoscope. And finally, the legacy of the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan that he created. I was telling over tea that my maternal grandfather had been closely associated with Kulapati ji in Mumbai. My maternal grandfather's home in Mumbai was walking distance from Kulapati ji's established headquarters of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, which is in the Chowpatty area. And in all my school vacations, I used to be in Mumbai, and I remember walking down that street every day and looking at that magnificent structure. If you could take the slide forward, if you could look at, if many of you may have seen that magnificent structure in Mumbai. And I remember this right from the 1970s, when I used to see this on a regular basis. And Kulapati ji said that education is the primary contribution of the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. And all of you are the instruments in that vision that Kulapati ji had. Now, I would like to share with you all something I read, which I often call a teacher's prayer, which I'm sure would be very close to Kulapati ji's heart also. The prayer goes something like this. The prayer is called I Didn't Know. And what did I not know? I didn't know that years of school and a college degree would be of little use when facing a full room of naughty and sparkling eyes on every day of school and college. Yeah. And I thought I was ready. How many of us thought we were ready with that degree that we had in our hand, and that degree was no use when we went into that classroom to start our first session with the children? It's working, sir? Okay. If you take it forward, what else did I not know? I didn't know. I didn't know that teaching the youth was only a fraction of my job. No one warned me about those staff meetings, corrections, collections, committees, paperwork, and of course, which one, sir? Of course, these lectures. I didn't know that there would be students that I loved and cared for and stayed up late worrying about, who one day would simply not show up. And that maybe I never ever would see them again. I didn't know that a single yes ma'am or yes sir from a disrespectful student would make me feel that I'm on top of the mountain and forgot the valleys I crossed to reach there. And this was the cake for me when they told me, sir, ma'am, you are the best. I didn't know that my slide will not change when I want it to change. I didn't know that after however many years of teaching and learning, I would feel so many emotions at the same time. Wiser, more tired, sadder, and happier all at once. Friends, as I put up these 4 or 5 slides, each time I was looking around at different corners of the room here, and in every corner I definitely saw a few smiles. In every corner I definitely saw some people doing this, saying, yeah, that's about me that you are talking about. I hope the essence of the job that we do was captured by these few lines that we put up here. But then I have this also. Govind sir, is there a spelling mistake somewhere? The Board of Education. Who are these people? Who are these people, ma'am? Huh? Backbenchers? Who are these people? I'll not stop asking you the question unless I get answers. Who are these people? Somebody told me, correct me if I'm wrong, ma'am. Somebody told me, if this is classroom, this is students. If it is staff room, it is teachers. And Govind sir will not call me again. If it is boardroom, it could be management also. Have we somewhere, sometimes reduced education to this? But the chap still keeps himself busy, right? Board of Education, but still keeps, at least one of them is keeping himself fully busy there. Ma'am, somebody told me this, I'm sure you have also heard it. A boy was refusing to get up in the morning to go to school. Mother is waking him up. Get up, go to school. No, I'll not go to school. Why? Nobody likes me in school. Mother said, no. You have to get up and go to school. Lot of people like you in school. Finally, mother said, look, you have to go to school. You are a teacher in that school. Students are waiting for you in the class. Raman Kutty sir, who is the Board of Education now is my question. So my question is, friends, we are talking of a collective responsibility. What do you feel when you see what you see now in my slide? What is this? Yes, anybody? What do you see there? My students tell me that when I am teaching in the class, even if they are in the bus stand, they can listen to my lecture. Because my voice is loud enough. What is this? I also know. What does it symbolize? What does this lock and key symbolize? Sorry? Okay. There may be others competing for that key to their heart. Now man says key to their heart. What else? Key to allow them into your arouse their curiosity. You notice something? There are two keys, not one key. Which means, if one key does not work, try the other key. One method works with one class, another method works with another class. Same method does not work with another. So you also have a spare key ready. If PowerPoint doesn't work, do you start switching in the class? No. You are ready without the PowerPoint also to go on. That's the simple option. What else? Well, what is it for you? Two keys. Somebody from the back. What does this two keys mean? What does this lock and key mean? Somebody told me, sir, that lock is going to the door is already open. We are assuming the door is locked. The door is open. We are assuming that we are opening it. It's already open. But my question is simple. This is my question. What is the key to understanding the 21st century classroom? Is the key to open up opportunities, or is it to lock it up? Do students ask a lot of questions in your class? Yes, no. Yes. All students ask questions. Why? Do students ask questions in all teachers' classes? Why? It's not that they don't have questions. They are worried about the answers that we give them. I remember once a student asked a question. Ma'am, what is this point you discussed today? Oh, maybe you did not attend my last class. That's why you don't know the answer to this question. The student thought, why the hell did I ask this question? Another student asked, ma'am, what is the meaning of this point? Very good question. Homework assignment for the whole class. So what did classmates tell her? No, look, I know you are very intelligent, but why did you have to show it in front of ma'am? In the process, what happened? Now, that's why people don't want to ask questions, because they are worried about the answer that will come from your side. Am I opening up opportunities, or am I locking them away? Because the point is simple. The point is simple. If as a faculty I want curiosity and exploration in my class, I will open up opportunities. If my motto is fear and caution, if I allow them to ask one question, there will be a second question, and then a third question. And what if I cannot answer those questions? So if my motto is fear and caution, there is no way it would go forward. Kulapati ji made a very interesting point in one of his writings. He said, never stop learning, as life never stops teaching. Never stop learning, as life never stops teaching. Today I had a 20-minute meeting with your leaders of the Kochi Kendra. And when I go back to my room today, I'm going to note down 4 or 5 points which I learned from them today. Because there was such great wisdom in that room, which I must capture as part of my learning. Friends, to take this dialogue forward, I told you that the 21st century is a learning moment. I often say this, classroom is no longer a space for teaching. Classroom is a zone for learning. And who is learner number one? All of us. We are learner number one in the classroom. Now, does the learning paradigm mean no teaching? No. The teaching paradigm or instruction paradigm is part of that learning paradigm. The only thing is, it is much broader than the instruction or the teaching paradigm. We are going beyond the formality of teaching in a learning paradigm. And to demonstrate and to further explain this point, I'd like to raise this question. How has school or college changed since we come? We were also one day In school and college? I hope so. I hope so. Because otherwise you wouldn't have had a right to be where you are. So all of us have been in school and college. Go back to your school and college days. Have things changed? How have they changed? And I want not negative comments, I want positive comments. How have things changed from when you were studying? Okay, technology. This Dr. Google has come into our classroom. See, one day, I keep giving examples. One day I was taking class for a new batch of students who did not know me. So they were looking at me. Will the 1 hour be interesting? They were not sure. So I gave them an example. India ranks something in HDI, Human Development Index. India ranks. What happened in the class? They have gone to Dr. Google. What is India's rank in HDI? And you know what? Luckily, Dr. Google told them that Dr. Shastri is correct. So why was I correct? I was correct not because I was correct. I was correct because Dr. Google told them I was correct. And then they started looking at each other. Which means now we can listen to him. No problem. Now. Is technology our competitor? Is technology our competitor? Now people say, no, why should I say all that in the class? They already can find it in some website. Students say that, right? Ma'am, I will not take down all this. I can get it from any website. So is technology our competitor today? Yes, no. How to make technology our assistant? Today everybody talks about ChatGPT. That assignment is written by ChatGPT. What did I do? I gave them an assignment. I asked ChatGPT this. And this is the answer that ChatGPT gave. Tell me what all is wrong with this answer. Oh sir, you also go to ChatGPT? I said, yeah, I go to ChatGPT to tell you what not to go to. Because you will find how many mistakes are there in the answer that ChatGPT gave you. Or, I tell now, you may not be able to do it at school level, but those of you teaching at a college level, I have given my students permission on 1 day in a week, you can bring your mobile to the classroom. Why? That day, I will not give them definitions of the concept I am talking about. I said, you find out in your Google, use your mobile, find out. And they find out. And they read out and tell me. And later on, those same students tell me, in the exam we remembered the definition because we had read it out to you in the classroom. Can I make Dr. Google my assistant? One day I knew the answer, but I am forgetting who wrote this book. Let me try and remember. By the end of the class, one of them, I saw her doing it below. I said, okay, do it. Then she's telling me, sir, the person who wrote what you told is so and so. I said, very good. I know how you got the answer. But I wanted you to know that you can use technology for this purpose also. So yes, technology. Anything else that has changed in our classroom today from what it was when we were students? Has anything else changed? Come on. Sir told me that you are all very interactive. Rote learning has reduced. Students will not accept something only if they have to memorize it. They tell you, explain it to us. If we are convinced, we will do it. What else has changed? Has anything else changed? Sorry? Children are more aware. Can I put it differently? Children have more access to information. Our job is to convert that into knowledge. They have more information today. They have access to information. But what is my job as a teacher, as a facilitator? Allowing them to give a meaning to that information that they have access to. Now, let me share with you what happened in Nitte a little while ago. I had called a professor of an American university to talk to my students on what it is to work in an American university. At the end of the lecture, one of my students asked a very mischievous question. He said, "Sir, is attendance compulsory in your university?" Not for teachers, for students. I was wondering what the answer will be. He was also my friend. He stood up and said, "I know where your question is coming from because I also did my undergraduation in India." Attendance is not compulsory in my classroom. But I tell my students, tomorrow don't come and tell me that the examination was very difficult. Because whatever I ask in the examination is based on what I do in the classroom. Don't tell me the assignment was very difficult, because whatever assignment I give you is based upon what I dialogued in the classroom. So if you want to miss my classroom, no problem, but don't come up with these complaints later. And I'm sure you all can do that. Can we all touch our hearts and say that when I engage my class for 1 hour with my students, there is no textbook which can give that knowledge to my students which they would otherwise get in my classroom. That's the challenge I have held out to my teachers. Students will stop worrying about attendance if my class interaction is such that they know that what they got in that 1 hour sitting, they would not get if they were to read a book many times over also. Now that's the question that I'd like to raise with you all. One last example of how maybe our classroom has changed in this time from our time. Anybody? One last point. Anybody in the group? I'm only getting answers from the front row. I want answers from the back row. Quickly. Otherwise, I'll assume your classroom has not changed. How you taught then, your teachers taught then, you are teaching now. How has classroom changed from when you were a student? I was bored then, they are bored now. No change. Those days I thought, why are they teaching all this? Today they think, why are they teaching all this? No change. So tell me, otherwise I'll provoke you with more such points. How has classroom changed? Ma'am, has classroom changed? Those who look at others are the one I'm talking about. I always find this. When you look at somebody, they're saying, look at... Yeah, ma'am. Sorry? Okay. I don't believe you. Because if they were more interactive, you would be more interactive today. Because where have they learned that interaction from? Who gave them the freedom to interact? You gave the freedom to interact. So, you will also discharge that freedom now. Okay. I'm going to now talk about the remaining time that I have. Govind sir gave me a huge license. He said, you can go on till whenever you want. I didn't tell him there because I respect him a lot. I said, I wanted to tell him, sir, I'll stop before people start leaving the hall. But that's no sign I want you to follow. Now, what are my 4 key indicators of the shift from teaching to learning? Indicator number 1. Can we tap into the digital experience of my students? Let's accept it They are much better than us in technology. Can we use that in our classrooms? We all saw that during COVID-19, right? How when online classes started, who helped us? They helped us. Sometimes helped us wrongly also. I know of a colleague who did not know anything about online classes. Students said, "Don't worry, ma'am, we'll help you. You make us the, what do you call it? The one in charge? Make us the host." They made them the host. What did they do? They threw the teacher out of the classroom. And once you are thrown out, you cannot come back in that session. And they had a brilliant time. More recently, a teacher took a 1 hour class. 1 hour class, sir. At the 59th minute, she realized she was mute. And students enjoyed it, you see. They enjoyed the class now. But more seriously, can we tap into the digital experience of our students? If Dr. Shailaja, my wife, was speaking, she would share with you an experience she has had recently. There was this engineering student who is not interested in the engineering that he's studying. What is he interested in? Making reels. He's interested in making reels. So what did she do? She said, "Look, we are hiring some outsiders to make reels. Why don't you make the reels of 25 years of the institution?" And he made such a brilliant production of that. And then he became an important fellow in his class, right? And then he felt, I should also be a good student in my class, and started attending classes regularly. You see? Can I tap into that intelligence? Because at the end of the day, our student is looking for attention from us. Now we need to tap what is that attention we need to give him or her so that they become good in what we want them to do. So can we tap into their digital experience? My second point. I don't know how you like this idea. Help a student to become a teacher. Expect yourself to become a student sometimes in your class. Tell me, friends, has there not been days when you learned something from your students in your class which you never would have learned if not for them? History teachers here? Any history teachers? Great. There was this history class going on, ma'am. Teacher was talking about the wonders of the world. And she was telling them, wonder of the world, wonder of the world, wonder of the world. One boy put his hand up. Yes, ma'am, this leaning tower of Pisa, no, not a wonder of the world, ma'am. Qutub Minar, no, ma'am, real wonder of the world. Our teacher has neither seen Qutub Minar nor Leaning Tower of Pisa. Very good. How do you know? So 3 years back, parents took me to Delhi. There we saw Qutub Minar. Last year, parents went on a holiday to Italy. They took me also. Very good. What more? That's all you can do. Very good. End of the class, she called him. Do you have photographs of both the visits? Yes, ma'am. Lot of photographs. I'll give you 15 minutes in my class. Can you make a presentation about what you said? Why Qutub Minar is more glorious than Leaning Tower of Pisa? Yes, ma'am. Only 15 minutes? Yeah, only 15 minutes. 1 week later. Now whole class is excited. Who is going to take class for 15 minutes? One of our classmates. He came. And ma'am says, even if I had prepared for 6 months, I could not have taken the class like he took it. Brilliant. Brilliant. End of the class, Other kids are saying, ma'am, any topic you want us to do, we will also do. When all students had gone away, this fellow who made the presentation is standing there still. What does he do? He gives one pen drive to madam. What is this, son? Ma'am, next year I am not in your class, no? If you have to teach this topic again next year, you can use my presentation. What does this photograph I am now going to show symbolize? What's happening here? Who is in front? Who is at the back? The student is in front receiving the baton. The teacher is at the back. But you know what that history teacher told me? Said that day I was in front. I was receiving the baton from my student. Happens to us also sometimes. That the understanding of a subject sometimes comes from the students. My third important point. Can I get real with outside the classroom experience? What I am discussing with the children in the class, can I relate it to what is happening outside? Do I? Or do I say all this is theory, I can't relate to outside? Govind sir, I have an example for that. You have built a great auditorium where nobody can see outside. I once went to an auditorium and took a session like this, where one side was fully glass. And more people were sitting that side. Why? Why? If the class, now they all know the answers. If the class is boring, I tried to make it interesting. But however interesting you make it, some people were looking outside. What happened in the result? Because some people were looking outside, what happened? Other people also started looking outside because they were seeing what are these people looking. So suddenly I found, sir, 3/4 of my class. What should I do? The same answer I get always. You also look outside. I also looked outside. Great scene going on there. You know what had happened outside, ma'am? Road. Cow had gone and stood in the middle of the road. So this side traffic could not go, that side traffic could not go. There was one teacher who indulged in share market. So he took a bet with his class, with his friend. The cow will go in front and this side traffic will go. Other fellow said, no, cow will go back and the traffic from that side will go. So 500 rupee bet there. Then I told everybody, let's go out. We went out. And then one of them took the hay and went in the direction he wanted it to go because 500 rupees. And the cow went in that direction and the traffic continued. Then somebody like Raman Kutty sir who was there asked me, Dr. Shastri, we invited you for a lecture not to take people out to see the cow crossing the street. What to tell Raman Kutty sir there? The Raman Kutty sir there, what to tell him? I said, sir, what was going on outside was not different from what was going on inside. Outside there was an unwilling cow. Fill in the blanks. Once the cow became willing, I could continue my session. Now, this is too dramatic an example of being real with outside classroom experience. But how many of us science and technology teachers once a month use the science and technology supplement of a newspaper in our classroom? How many of us teaching commerce and related subjects use the business supplement of the newspaper in our classroom? Now, that for me is bringing real life from outside into our class. And my fourth and last point. Can I measure what matters? After 42 years in the teaching learning process, whenever students come back to me, a point I often hear is, "Sir, you will not remember me. I used to sit in the back of the class. Today I have achieved all this." And a large part of that is, whenever I paid attention to your class, whatever I listened there. Believe me, those in the back of the class are the ones who will make you proud of what you did. I often have this debate with my family members. I don't like this term, slow learner and fast learner. Don't get angry with me. Who gave you the right to call somebody a slow learner? Is he or she a slow learner because you can't understand that person? Is it that person's fault or your fault? But I have suggested at my institution not to call them slow learners, call them paced learners. They have a pace of learning. Now, can I measure what matters? I have a student who came back to the institution I was teaching in and went up to a teacher and said, "Ma'am, you remember you told me this?" She said, "Yeah, I have achieved this today. That day you called me this. Today you see what I am. I came here only to tell you that." Many of you may have heard of the very, very famous story of Vikram Seth, the one who wrote the book A Suitable Boy. He was very fond of poetry. And his English teacher one day, his English teacher called Fiona ma'am, gave him a poem to write in the class. Everybody. Poetry writing competition. He wrote a poem. He gave it to ma'am. Ma'am said, "Monday morning you will get it back. Friday evening." He says, "That's the longest weekend I have spent in my life, waiting for my poem to come back." Monday in the class, ma'am distributed the poem to everybody, their own poems. Vikram looked at it. We don't open it like this and look at it. Like that we look at it. How much have we got? He had got F. F. The incorrigible optimist he was, he thought F must be first. First. He asked, "Ma'am, F means failed." "Why, ma'am, failed?" "I told you to write your poem. I didn't tell you to copy somebody else's poem." Now, Vikram was crestfallen. He went home. His mother was a famous judge, Leela Seth. Mother said, "Look, you wrote the poem?" "Yes, Mama, I wrote the poem." "Don't worry then. If she didn't understand, that's her problem. You know that you wrote the poem." "No, ma'am, but how can ma'am say failed?" Then next day when going to school, mother said, "Ask ma'am, where have I copied it from? Ma'am, where have I copied this from?" Now by now, Fiona ma'am also is a little worried. She thought it is copied. She does not know where it is copied from. Because she thought it's too good a poem for Vikram to write. So she told Vikram, You don't ask any questions. I don't ask any questions. B plus. Yeah. You know what Vikram did? He took that, gave it to her, and said, you keep this B plus, and went away. And that day, he stopped talking to Fiona. Best teacher, his favorite teacher, stopped talking to her. Grew up, became what he became. And then, many years later, when he came to India, he opened the newspaper, saw a obituary column that Mrs. Fiona D'Souza has passed away. And the memorial service was fixed on a particular date. He decided to go there. Fiona's husband was making the memorial speech. And he said Fiona was down with cancer for several months, bedridden. And below her pillow was her favorite poem. And I'm going to read out that poem today. And to Vikram's shock and surprise, it was his poem. He ran up to the husband after the function and said, Sir, husband said, I recognize you, you are Vikram. Fiona ma'am was hoping that you will come today. This is your property. And what was that? That same page, that same notebook page. It was not in the notebook now, it was separate. Ma'am had cut out that B plus and written A plus 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 and said, Vikram, you will get this one day. I am too ashamed to give it back to you. Can I, as a teacher, measure what matters? My final slide. I'm not going to deal with all the 8 points. Teaching is wonderful, learning is phenomenal. What are the 4 points I want to leave? In row 2, character refinement. Can I, as a facilitator, as a mentor, help in the character refinement of my student? I remember still an incident many years ago when we were organizing a conference. I had a student committee and I took those students with me each time we went to do something for the conference. I had gone to book the conference hall in a hotel and the manager said, Sir, this is the rate. And he quoted a rate. My students were with me. Quoted a rate. I said, this rate is too high. Give us the best rate. And then that fellow had the gumption to tell me, this is the best rate, sir. 20% of this we will give you. I said, 20% of this you will reduce. I don't want anything. My institution should get that 20% discount. He of course said, you are the first one to ask for this. Like this. Next day in the class, after this conference was over, my students told me, Sir, today we learned a character refinement lesson. Opportunities will come for you to be corrupt. Opportunities will come which will tell you you are not being corrupt. This is normal practice. But then you stood and showed us what it is to stand for your principles. I told them, if I had taken, I would never have taken, but if I had taken, could I have faced you all in the classroom tomorrow? Could I have faced you all in the classroom tomorrow? Character refinement. My wife, Dr. Shailaja, and I have a rule. Till today, 42 years, we have never, ever accepted a gift from our students. I say, no. Once you start working, we will see. Not now. And now students have passed on the message to their juniors. Don't even try to give them a gift because they'll embarrass you by giving it back to you. And my students say that at their workplace they practice that because they realize it is something so important for the dignity of their personality. The dignity of their personality. My second point, looking after the healing needs of my students. It's not that simply people say we are their second parent. Do I look after their healing needs? I remember early in my career, one student one day came to me and asked me, "Sir, where were you yesterday?" I said, "No, yesterday I had to make a presentation somewhere, so I had to go." "Whose permission did you take to go, sir?" I said, why are you asking me this?" "No, sir. Yesterday was my birthday. And this is the first time I'm away from my parents. And you were like a parent to me. I wanted to come and touch your feet yesterday because it's my birthday, and you are not there." That day I realized the type of needs that we as faculty need to fulfill. And are we there to fulfill those needs? My last 2 points. Can I involve myself with my students' ideas? Do I start by telling them no? Or do I start by telling them yes? And then suggest possible changes in that. I love to watch music shows. While I'm fond of music, I love to watch the judges give their comments. I still remember Pandit Jasraj once told a singer, "Ah, how nicely you sang, Betty. Can you sing it once again?" And she sang it once again. And then he sang it once again. He sang it. And the girl said, "Panditji, I understand where I made the mistake. I understand where I made the mistake." Now, look at that approach of being able to help your students do better. And finally, linked to that, my role in nurturing them. So friends, let me end with this statement which I always use. Is most of my answers to the questions my students ask or queries my students ask, is the answer, I can't. When principal ma'am says, "Can you do this?" No, I can't. I had a student, even before I asked him something, "Can you?" "No, ma'am, I can't. I have not even told him what I want him to do. I can't." How often is "I can't" an answer? If "I can't" is an answer for bad things, I'm very happy. I can't smoke, I can't drink, I can't do drugs, very good. But can we avoid "I can't" for good things? In fact, try this out in your class. Ask students to make a list of things they can't do. I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't. One of them wrote, "I can't study early in the morning." I said, "I understand." Next point, "I can't study late at night." Now then I wondered, where is the escape route? When I made that list first, I wrote, "I can't comb my hair." To acknowledge my wife's role, when this started, she put one board on my dressing table because we spend a lot of time searching for hair, right? She put a board there. When God makes something good, God does not cover it up. I can. Can we help our students? Can we help ourselves? Convert our "I can'ts" into "I can." Because until "I can't" goes away, there is no place for "I can." And the cousins of "I can." Who are the cousins of "I can"? I will and I must. Friends, let me conclude with a story. A story which could be your story, which could be my story, which could be everybody's story. There was this teacher taking the last hour. How is that last hour? And that too second floor, from where you can see all the buses of the school. And all the buses are lined up. Your bus has also come. And here is the ma'am getting into the class. So what did students tell ma'am? Ma'am, today no class, ma'am. Ma'am also had already taken 5 periods. So ma'am said, okay, students, today no class. Oh, students are so happy, but no going out of the class. Because you know Murphy's law? Monday to Thursday you take class. Friday you let them out early. That day only headmistress ma'am will go on rounds. That's called Murphy's law. Only that day they will go. And they will come to you. What happened, Pushpa? You left class early today. Only that day it happened. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, nobody asked you. Friday they asked you. So she said, no going out, but no class. What we'll do, ma'am? We'll play a game. Very good, ma'am. We'll play a game. What is the game? There were around 25 kids in the class. Write down the names of all the others. Okay? Write one good quality about each of them. Okay, ma'am. And you can't repeat a quality. So first one, okay. Second one, okay. Third one, okay. Fourth, fifth one. What is her quality? What is his quality? They finished. Then each one had to read out the qualities of the others. No. Some fellows were shocked. I never knew I had that quality. Some fellows are happy. I know I have that quality. At the end of that exercise, still 8 minutes was left. Ma'am opened her bag, which was full of tricks and toys. She pulled out 100 friendship bands. You know the friendship band? She gave 3 to each classmate. What, ma'am? What should I do, ma'am? Wait, let me distribute. Halfway down distribution, only 1/3 will listen. After all were distributed, she said, okay, here is your homework because today we had no class. We knew, ma'am, something like this only will happen. You have to take one band and put it on the hand of somebody who has made a difference in your life. Give that person 2 bands. That person has to make on somebody. And that person has to put on somebody. And you have to write an essay, 1 week's time. Whom did you put on? Whom did that person put on and why? And whom did that person put on and why? This is your social connect assignment. We all went. And boy was there, sir, Sachin. No. Sachin would not go by the school bus. He used to go by public transport. Sachin got into the bus. Whom to put on? Whom do you think he put on? Whom do you think he put on? Driver, no. Somebody said teacher. I said, no, we have not made so much difference in their life. Somebody said boy, girlfriend. I said, no, not yet made a difference in his life. One uncle came and sat next to him. And Sachin, what happened in school today? Uncle, today, first hour, second hour, third hour, fourth hour, fifth hour. And then he told uncle, because of you, every day you ask me the same question. And every day because of you, I do a brilliant revision of the school. So this band is for you. And here are 2 more bands. You have to put on somebody and that somebody has to put on somebody. Now who did this uncle put on? Raman Kutty sir, he put on somebody who was a role model for him of how not to behave. See, some people have answers to questions, no? Some people have questions to answers. This former boss was the second category. Whatever answer you give, he has a question. If you came early, why did you come early? If you came late, why did you come late? If you came on time, Why did you come on time? So this man taught him how not to behave with people. He found out where he was and found him, went to his office next day. What did that fellow ask? Why did you come here? He didn't tell him the real reason. He said, yes, boss, you have made a difference in my life, and put that to him. That fellow was shocked. Nobody has ever put a band on his hand because he had no friends at all. And then he said, boss, this last band is for you. You have to put on somebody and tell me. Okay. That evening, boss is driving home. Puts a hand in pocket. What is there? Oh, band. Who should I put on? Two choices. Son, only child, or wife. Managed me for 25 years now. Men should not get angry with me. I call it, he was typical Indian male. Could not decide. Wife, son. So he took another typical Indian male decision. I will not decide, let the other person decide. I will ring the bell. If wife opens, wife. If son opens, son. Somebody asked me from audience, what happens if servant opens the house? 7 p.m. in the evening, no servant in that house, middle class family. Only wife or son. So he rang the bell. Son opened the door. He called son. He put the band in the hand of the son and said, you have made a difference in my life. You know what the son told the father? Appa, if I knew my band will come back to me only, I would not have put it on that uncle in the bus. If I knew my band will come back to me, I would not have put it on that uncle in the bus. Appa, do you realize it requires so many people for you to tell me that I have made a difference in your life? Does this happen to us teachers also? That we forget to tell a fellow teacher, you have made a difference in my life. We forget to tell a student that you have been remarkable in my class. So can we somewhere, I can make that difference. Suppose, my final point, suppose in 2040, Govind sir calls a meeting of all alumni of Bharati Vidya Bhavan schools. All alumni are brought together in one big auditorium. And you call one guest like me to give a speech. And that person says to all that alumni, who was your favorite teacher in your Bharati Vidya Bhavan school? How many of us are confident that at least one student will take our name? How many of us are confident that at least one student will take our name? If you are, then you have followed this rule of I can, I will, and I must. Because at the end, Munshi ji said, patience is the highest offering and the Lord loves to receive it. We are all in a profession where there is no instant gratitude. It comes after 5 years, it comes after 10 years, it comes after 20 years. When that student comes back to you and tells you how he or she has had a difference in their life because I had a student once coming back after 25 years and telling me, sir, I enjoyed your classes. I said, thank you. Sir, that blue shirt you wore was very nice. I said, what? No, sir, that blue shirt was very nice. I said, forget the blue shirt. Did you remember what all I talked in the class? That I remember, sir. But I got worried if they are going to remember things like the blue shirt you wore. And that's why, sir, I always wear blue shirts on important occasions. Look at the transformation, look at the impact that you can have on the life of a child. Thank you, and I have taken Govind sir's word too seriously, I think, and maybe taken a little longer time. But I wish each of you the very best. As we end 2024 tomorrow, and as we begin a new year day after tomorrow, I wish and hope and pray that this new year is filled with joy, filled with happiness, filled with good health, and filled with all good things you would like for yourself, for your children at home, and for your children at the schools. All the best, and thank you for giving me such a patient hearing. Sorry.
Learning is not compulsory, but neither is survival. A few beautiful takeaways from the session: teaching itself as a continuous process of learning, sustaining interest in learning, and dealing with a tech-savvy Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and evoking curiosity and exploration, and turning the I can't into I can. Thank you, sir, for a session that was laced with humor and personal touch. May I request our esteemed dignitaries to come onto the stage.
Don't worry, I'm not starting another speech.
As a token of our gratitude and appreciation, I request C.A. Venugopal C. Govind, Chairman, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Kochi Kendra, to kindly come forward to adorn the Punnada and hand over a memento to honor our chief guest, Dr. Sandeep Shastri. Thank you, sir. I request C.A.K. Shankaranarayanan, Honorary Secretary, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Kochi Kendra, to propose the vote of thanks.
Distinguished guests of the day, Dr. Sandeep Shastri, Chairman Venugopal C. Govind, respected Director Ramankutty sir, distinguished members of the Kendra Committee, members of the Bhavan's fraternity, special invitees, Namaste and good evening. As we near the conclusion of this evening's inspiring 6th Kulapati K.M. Munshi Memorial Oration, it is my honor to offer heartfelt gratitude to all those who made this gathering truly remarkable. Today, we were privileged to hear Dr. Sandeep Shastri, scholar of extraordinary depth and breadth, illuminate the evolving paradigms of education for the 21st century. Sir, your profound observations rooted in the experience and vision have not only sparked reflection, but have also charted pathways for transformative learning. Thank you, Dr. Shastri sir, for enriching us with your wisdom. To our guiding force, C.A. Venugopal, C. Govind, your presidential address was a beacon of clarity and purpose, reminding us of the enduring legacy of Kulapati Dr. K. Munshi. Thank you, sir. A special note of appreciation to Sri E. Ramagutti, Director of our for your warm welcome and steadfast commitment in fostering this annual tradition. Your efforts reflect the very values Munshi ji championed. My thanks to the Kendra Committee members, Bhavan's fraternity, and to every member of the audience. Your presence today is a testament to the relevance of Kulapati Dr. Munshi's ideals. It is your engagement that keeps his vision alive and vibrant. Behind every successful event lies a team of dedicated individuals. My sincere thanks to the organizers, technical teams, and support staff of the impeccable execution and attention in detail. As we part, let us remember that the legacy of Kulapati K. Munshi is not just a story to be told, but a call to action. May we carry forward his vision of integrating tradition with modernity in all we do. I wish you, on behalf of everyone present here, a very happy and prosperous new year. Thank you, one and all.
With that, we have come to the end of today's program. Kindly rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
I request everyone to be seated till the guests leave the hall.